So while browsing YouTube, I came across Infamous Trainer's video about Pokemon evolution swaps. And that gave me an idea to give it a shot myself. To keep it short, Pokemon Evo swaps are when you switch the first and final evolution stages to see how they look if the roles were switched. So with that and 4 evolution lines ready to go, let's get straight into the video. Start with Shellos and Gastrodon. Now, since these designs will be mostly focused more on the actual designs themselves, not any animated aspects or something, I'll be doing these in the Gen 4 style, and sorry, but there won't be any animations since, like I said, the main focus are the Evo swaps. Now, for the concept aspect of this, I didn't really have any things I started to think of when I went into designs. I just kinda rolled with whatever I got, but for Shellos and Gastrodon it's kinda different. The idea was that Gastrodon in his first stage was covering himself up with mud to hide himself, but in the evolution form he has washed it off and feels fierce and ready to battle and confident about his battle physique, style, whatever you call it, but let's check it. If a Pokemon approaches Gastrodon, it will rush to the nearest water source to create mud as cover. The base stat total is 330. As for Shellos, I think this accidentally is the best one, and I didn't really have a concept. Actually, I think it had the least amount of ideas for me for the design, so I just went, why not, and pulled the 180 for the design aesthetic, whatever you could call it, but by pulling a 180, I mean, instead of it being pre-bulky, chunky, defensive, I made it offensive. Now the stats may be a little bit useless, but it doesn't really matter in the end, since it's not like this is going to be an actual game or whatnot, at least I'm not planning for it right now, but I think the design was pretty cool, made a ferocious, big buff guy, looks cool, aesthetically pleasing, but check it yourself. With newfound power, Shellos hunts for Pokemon that disturbed its peace in its infant stages. Base stat total is 490. So, what do you think? Let's move on with Beldum and Metagross. So, my two very simple ideas for these two fellas is Metagross, making it like a small metal tick, nothing more, and for Beldum it was something like a sentry, something I guess you could see in, I don't know, but a sentry nonetheless. Now, at first I thought, damn, these are pseudo-legendaries, and Metagross, Beldum, Metang, they're pretty metallic designs, so it means they're pretty rigid and whatnot. It could be a little complicated to replicate that on a smaller size. But actually it was pretty easy. In fact, it was way easier than I expected, probably one of the easiest ones out of the 8. Probably the size has to do with something, but that doesn't mean the small sprites are bad. Oh, okay, the small dick jokes are pretty overused, let's get over with. Although the reasons are unknown, Metagross is most commonly found feasting on computer chips. Base stat total is 300. Now it's time for probably my favorite one out of the bunch, and it is the previously mentioned Sentry Beldum. Now, how I imagine it moving is it is attached to probably like a tree branch or something. It moves using magnetism and it uses it one arm, one leg, whatever it is, as a missile launcher or something like that, but it has a max distance limit. So when it reaches that, it just drops, it uses also magnetism for that. Okay, whatever, too much. Well, the actual design process, I used Metang's arm as the base for the arm thing. Like, seriously, what are those things? Well, whatever it is, I used that as a base, and the rest, pure skill, bro. Thanks to studies based on Beldum's hunting, Hoenn is the leading region in security technologies. Base stat total is 600. Personally, I like these quite a bit. Well, of course I'm gonna put my favorite Pokemon here. Now for these two, I'll pull a little switcheroo since I messed up the order in which I recorded them, so I have to do this first since I made it first instead of Ledian. But it is a special case nonetheless, and both are pretty cool, but you probably already know this 100 times over, but I'm super biased towards Ledian, so of course I'm gonna think it's super cool. But anyways, back to the design. For Ledyba, I decided to make it a big chonker. Why would I ever do that? Well, pretty simple. Better design. Yeah, in the beta design, these two guys were pretty beefy little ladybugs. So why not kinda resurrect this design aspect of it and give it a big meathead vibe? Yeah, that sure was an experience. Thanks to special training, Ladybas have beaten their rock weakness, yet their population is now falling due to birds. Base stat total is 435. Well, now back to the Pokemon that should have been at the start of this evolution line, but messed up. Anyways, it's Ledian. Now, it's pretty simple. At first it was just, again, the concept of, oh, Ledian but bug fighting, never done that before or heard of it, but yeah, kinda repeated that. I kinda, after finishing up the sprite, noticed it had some similarities to Tyrogue, but it's kinda cute since it is kinda like a developing bug fighting type. And yeah, actually I know the Evo swap gimmick thing still kinda, I guess, has to have the same types, but it will pay off after you hear the Pokédex entry, trust me. Source, trust me bro. But anyways, check this out. Although labeled as a bug fighting type, in nature it still is bug flying. Ledian fanatics refuse any changes. Base stat total is 265. So, thoughts on the knuckleheads? Finishing with Shroomish and Breloom. So, Breloom and Shroomish, the ones that I had zero ideas for the design, only a smidget of a concept and idea of, hey, those are some pretty cool Pokemon. How about I give it a shot since, you know, there's some pretty cool Pokemon and there were no more ideas further than that. Well, of course, I had some thoughts about, hey, I could do this or that while creating the sprites, but I'm talking about the start of the process. Well, later moving on, there's of course some concepts that I later use in the Pokédex sprite, and I just decreased the amount of details in Breloom for the Breloom design, like I said for the Pokédex entry, which of course you will hear soon. But of course first, let's see the design quickly. It exhausts its power to quickly grow shrooms for hiding. Due to this, the species' average size keeps decreasing. Base stat total is 295. And as for the final Pokemon of the video, Shroomish, it was pretty similar, but the design concept came to my head much quicker than for Breloom. Although the design concept still was pretty simple. What if the mushroom just grew for too long, much longer than intended? And that's what is Shroomish based on. Yeah, very complicated, hard to formulate a sentence for that very complicated design. But sometimes the most simplest design concepts end up in the coolest Pokemon. Like the best example I can think of at the top of my head, Ledian, of course. Some of you probably expected that, but whatever. Now, actually talking about some spriting, the shading on this guy was insane. It was so fun to shade him. Okay, that's it. It has a symbiotic relationship with Breloom. Shroomish grows from Breloom's powers while giving protection. It has a base stat total of 460. Well, what do you think? I hope you enjoyed the vid, let me know your favorite line, and of course thanks to Infamous Trainer for the idea. And with that, stay tuned.